Welcome back. So I was going over the diagram I drew last week about how your thoughts work. And for people who are new here, you can't control your thoughts. You can influence them, and we're talking about how to do that in this video, but like try to make a thought come into your head. You can't really control what that is. You could look at something and then think about that object, but it's the same way in how it's kind of difficult to empty all thoughts from your head and to have complete stillness in there. It's actually impossible, I would say, to necessarily control what you think of. Or at least that's my current stance based off of where I'm at. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm going to screen record, I'm going to minimize myself, toss everything up here. And this is the notes from the other day. So if anyone, zoom all the way out. I'll remove myself from the view. If anyone wants to screenshot them, they can screenshot that, and they can screenshot that. It's easier than trying to put them down in the description. So now that I'm hopefully back, if I edit this properly, the thesis that we're going for is basically you can't control your thoughts, but, and that's where it comes in, your thoughts come into your mind, you decide whether or not you want to act on them, then you take an action. That action will then shape your environment. Now, you have two different types of environment. You have your internal body, which is, say internal body, but it can also be things on your person, tattoos, like a loop wristband. I have a cross I wear. Things that remind you of who you are, what your values are. I have more examples down below, but these triggers then shape your thoughts. Like I notice my cross, and I'm like, oh, and then I think about God and everything. Or I notice my loop wristband, and I'm like, oh, I want that score to be good. Let's go to bed on time. I also have it set up to vibrate to remind me when to start getting ready for bed, which is very useful. But basically, thoughts come into your mind, you act on them, shapes your environment, which then triggers your thoughts. So with all this being said, one of the exercises that I've been practicing is going into environments and being like, what is it I want to do here? Right now, we're at my desk, and I cleaned it off this weekend, and I get rid of anything that would distract me, because I'm like, at my desk, I want to journal, and this is my work desk, this is a desk in my bedroom. I want to work, I want to journal here, and I want to have nothing distracting me, I don't want to have any messes in the way. So I sat down here, and I just looked around and noticed, and kind of noticed what thoughts popped into my head. If any thoughts kind of triggered me to want to do something else, or distracted me from the intended purpose of journaling. This is why it's very useful to have different spaces that you work in. For people who have difficulty working out at home, they go to the gym, they change their environment, which then changes their thoughts, and now it's like, oh, let's work out, which changes your action, which then increases your physique, increases the dopamine levels because working out is good for you, which then leads you back to, improves your physical environment, which then triggers your thoughts to go to the gym. And each thing has this, this is just the loop everything kind of goes through within your head. Maybe I'm just crazy and this is my head, but this is my understanding of how it goes. Some notes that I wrote on this, I just put down 2 great books, World's Greatest Salesman. It's kind of like a brainwashing where there's 10 chapters, you read each chapter first thing in the morning, during lunch, first thing before bed, every single day, and it's pretty good. It's a pretty good book, but it helps you be more aware of certain things. One of the things that it talks about is how habits shape everything. Your life will be basically dictated by the sum of your habits. So then it makes you more consciously aware of your habits because you've thought about it a lot more. So now when you're looking around, you're like, oh, what are my habits? What am I doing? And then you start taking awareness of it and you start changing things. That's a great book. The Internal Body. This is taken by self-care and glow-ups. So taking care of yourself feels good and helps trigger happier, more positive thoughts about yourself. So your environment. Let's go down here. Try to identify and remove negative triggers to see how things change. If you have cookies in your kitchen and you don't want to be eating cookies at night, if you don't want to be consuming sugar, do not buy them. Do not bring them into your house. this is easier said when you're living by yourself and you have control of the kitchen, but like, or if you're a parent, but just do not bring them into the house. When I was living by myself, it was super easy. All I had was pineapple and steak and sausage, and that's all I ate because I was doing like a modified carnivore for optimal wrestling. But I was able to completely design my environment. I had complete control over it in order to maximize my productivity for school. Then you can also add positive triggers to your environment. So some of these triggers I talked about down below. I have these candles I make. They're pine scented candles. They're for sale on my website, weektowarrior.com. I love them. I use them, but one way of changing your environment is by changing the scents in the environment. So I light that candle when I do my meditations. Therefore, it's not necessarily my office I'm meditating in. It's now my meditation studio, and it triggers, and I smell it, and it kind of helps me habitualize the activity. And you don't necessarily need to like be constantly thinking about this, but once you have the good thoughts established, they become habitual. But you also need to unprogram the negative habitual thoughts that you currently have. And one way of doing that is right here with the triggers, like seeing what triggers you. If I go into my office and I see a dirty rug, because I'm OCD, like literally OCD, I will have trouble focusing and I want to clean the rug. I'm going to get the vacuum out. Once I have the vacuum out, well, maybe the kitchen could get touched up. I mean, I already have the vacuum out. I mean, I wrote down a list the other day, and it basically, I write down a list of things I want to do each day, and then if that changes at all, I write down why it changed so I can like think about it. I vacuumed one of my cats threw up, so I cleaned that up, but then there was still water left in the rug vacuum, so I went upstairs and I did my playroom, and then I was up there and I was like, oh, this room could also, like my grandmother's up there, and we have like a little mat outside of the litter box, and that needed to be vacuumed, so then I got the vacuum out, and I vacuumed, and I was like, oh, I already have it out, let's just do the kitchen, let's do the hallway, let's do my office. And then once I got that done, I was like, oh, well, there's like 15 minutes. I could just bump my whole schedule back an hour, and because that all took 45 minutes. So like, if I bump it back an hour, that gives me 15 minutes to do something right now. So I'm like, I could make some jerky. So then I got that started. Like, that's the ADHD mind of things in your environment triggering. You're boom, 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 boom. If you fix your environment, it helps so much. And I'm not sure if I'm just more sensitive to this because of ADHD, but really, really helps. Next up, we have writing down what you want to do in each place. So this is the meditation I talked about earlier. You don't necessarily need to do it as a meditation, but it does help. Like, you need to spend time and sit down in that room and kind of like look around for 20 minutes and notice what pops into your head. What is triggering you? Because you'll have those thoughts during the week, but if you're just in a do mode, you're just going to be doing it. It's going to be distracting you. It's going to take you off of your work. That's why on the weekends, I find it very beneficial to do a cleaning of the house, to organize my room, to organize my office. I make tea, so I don't have to do that during the week. And I take care of a bunch of these like little tasks that I don't want to have to handle once I enter a work mode, because these things will kind of distract me. You can also improve your body, which is it's part of the internal environment up here. And to do that, sleep. Your brain works a lot better when you're slept. It's a lot less dopamine seeking, low stress, lower your cortisol levels. Hydration matters a lot. Also electrolytes. If you do not take electrolytes, if you have muscle cramps, you need to take electrolytes. You are not taking enough electrolytes. I personally recommend magnesium because for me, people are like, oh, it's potassium. You definitely need more potassium. Like, no. You don't get it. It's magnesium. I've tried this. I've tried potassium. I almost OD'd on potassium one time because, like a dum-dum, I don't know, I might have confused something. I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure the bottle said 6 grams of potassium citrate. And I took it. And I was, like, puking and had diarrhea. And it was horrible. So don't consume 6 grams, which is like, that's literally an insane amount. It's retardedly insane how large that is. So you just need to know what you're doing. If you're buying one from the store, just consume the recommended dose on it, and then you'll start noticing, oh, well, this dose is kind of low, so you take more. I personally take at least 3 grams of magnesium glycinate a day, and then I also salt my food heavily, but I can take some salt supplements if I notice I'm getting tired. Sometimes taking sea salt tablets helps with that, but it's just about knowing yourself, improving yourself, and understanding that. If I'm also tired, one thing I'll also do is I will chug. I have it right here. So I fill these up with spring water. I have tons of videos on my channel about that. It's an empty glass kombucha bottle filled up with spring water. I'll chug one of these. Take some salt. Your brain is gonna like light up, like you just. I don't know, I've never done Coke, but I mean, it's not. I don't think it's like that, but it's a little less than that. But it's pretty good. It's really good stuff. Not Coke, but chugging water. I've never touched Coke. I think I'd like it too much. Then we go to improving dopamine regulation. And I say that as like, if you smoke weed, for me, I can't have it. It makes me like so dopamine seeking. And that's part of the internal environment, is because it's my internal brain chemistry. But I alter that chemistry by smoking weed. So by not smoking weed, I'm able to not basically turn into a dopamine seeking zombie that is an NPC that just eats tons of food. Like, I don't have junk food in my house, but like, I'll eat 10 apples. Like, I'll literally eat 10 apples. You're like, oh no, you don't eat 10 apples. I'll eat 10 apples. Like, I go to the store sometimes with my friends when we're camping. I'll have like 2 bags of apples. And like, do you think that's gonna last? Like, we're not gonna be able to eat that. I'm like, oh, you guys want some too? Like, should I go back and get another bag? Like, this is mine. Like, I love this. I'm gonna eat the whole thing. So yeah, cut out weed and alcohol. Literally, I don't drink. I don't feel the need to. You can loosen up on the dance floor. Just listen to the music and start moving to it. Let's see. Putting stuff on your body can also help. I don't really recommend tattoos, but that is one form of why people do it, to symbolize moments in their life, like the butterfly, their rebirth. It's a symbolizing marker on them to remind themselves to that they changed and progressed and grew out of, or the phoenix, which is like growing from your ashes. Wearing nice clothes. I have nice clothes on right now. It's nice. You feel better. I get work done. During COVID, I was working in a comfy the whole time. I think I probably went like a month or two sometimes where I just only wore a comfy in my boxers. And I mean, I had 2 comfies, so I'd wash them. But if you don't know, the comfy is basically a blanket with a hood that you wear all the time, and I didn't have to go out for anything. It makes you really unproductive, like really, really unproductive. And like putting on a uniform at work helps. Like when you put on your gym clothes, you're like, okay, now it's time to go to the gym. You're signaling to yourself what you want to do, which really, really helps. I put on blue light blockers before bed. I have them right next to my bed. I put them on. It's a symbol to myself of part of my routine, getting myself wind down at night. Yeah. So you can also improve your physical environment by adding a paper with ideas that you read. If you find quotes that inspire yourself, this is like part of it. This is why people make vision boards. This is like the idea behind what a vision board is you put this thing up, you change your environment, you look at what you want to accomplish, and you go through, and it helps. It does help, because you look at that and you're like, oh, if I smoke weed tonight, I won't be able to like perform at my best and get that Ferrari I want, or whatever it is for you. Just put them at your desk. Like, if you put it at your desk or a place you go or on your fridge, you'll see it and you'll think about it more. It really does help. Places. So changing the people you hang out with, huge. You might have heard that you're the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself most with. To that, I would add, if you surround yourself most with like a YouTube personality or a TV show, then you're going to be the sum of like Jim, Bob, and Joe, and then Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Like, whatever you're taking in mentally, because we have devices now, you might not be necessarily socializing, but you still might be consuming the ideas of other people. So whatever you spend the most time with, those ideas are going to be what the sum of you is. I think it's correct me in the comments. Places. You can go to different places. The gym, the library, going like out of the house to work. These are all things that can shape the thoughts that you have and help with being productive. A notes app. If you have something that you want to remind yourself of, you can create a little widget on your phone, and as you're scrolling by, you'll see this notepad with like your goals for the future, or something that quotes that inspire you and make you feel remind you of what your mission is, or maybe a picture of something that really inspires you. Changing the wallpaper on your phone can help. Changing the wallpaper on your computer screen can help with this. Second, lock screen. Music. What music are you consuming? What are the lyrics? Like, literally, think about the lyrics. Are the lyrics sad? Are the lyrics like getting up there with my hose in my car? Like, I don't listen to rap, but like, if it's like, listen to the rap. Is that who you want to be? Do you think that's good for you? Is it talking about just banging tons of like hose and stuff? Is that who you want? I have this Indian friend. It's kind of funny story. I was in the car with him. He put on some rap and was talking about like this guy in his Lamborghini with his hose, and so like turned to him like, "Bro, you got two bitches back here?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Why the fuck you listening to this shit? Like, what?" Books. I have this ladder behind me is covered with books. Henry Ford, Today and Tomorrow. He also has My Life and Work, Andrew Carnegie's autobiography. You have Sam Walton, American Made. You have something, Ray Kroc, which is Grinding It Out. He's the founder of, he's the one that actually blew up McDonald's. But like, you have all these great men, and you can listen or read their ideas, and then those ideas are going through your head, and they're shaping how you think, which really helps for like having better thoughts, having more inspired thoughts, is going through and seeing the thoughts of these great men. I try to stay away from autobiographies. I don't like them. It's like a filtered thing through someone who, like, it's not the person who achieved greatness's thought. It's like someone's reaction to their thoughts. So it's kind of like looking at it through a secondary lens, even though the person who initially lived that life, even their autobiography is through like the lens of their best self, because no one really wants to put out like the bad stuff they did. You don't have Andrew Carnegie talking about how there was a shootout at one of his facilities because of the work conditions, and he had like a whole PR thing to cover that up, but you don't really see that happening. He doesn't talk about it in the book. He glances over it, blames it on someone else, and then moves on. He's like, "Oh, I feel bad for those people. And if I was there, and if this other guy wasn't in charge, but like he put that guy in charge, he knew what that guy was about." And I think it was just like he tossed the other guy under the bus. But books help a lot. One thing I'd like to add to that: if you're in habitual states, traveling, damn my eraser. Traveling helps disrupt habitual patterns. So for me, sometimes I'll just like get into the pattern of taking, like, I take my morning stack, my B vitamins, my tyrosine, my magnesium, maybe a zinc gluconate, and I'll do that, and I kind of just get in the habitual pattern of it, and then I come back from a vacation, and on vacation everything kind of gets disrupted, my sleep gets disrupted, and then I come back and I settle down, I'm like, oh, I don't actually need to take that anymore, because that's something that you need to realize, like with the supplements, like your body stores magnesium and stores all these things in the cells, like you're like a big battery, so you might not necessarily need to continually take magnesium unless you drink a lot of caffeine, in which case you're flushing it out constantly. But over the course of a year or two, taking supplements, your needs might shift, your needs might change, you might just be peeing them out, but they are hugely beneficial. Let's see. This is also why, like, you can buy nice stuff. It's a nice bottle. Here we go. It's a nice bottle of melatonin. The company stands for things I like having nice things around you. It's a nice glass bottle. It looks pretty. That's why I have it. I don't drink out of like a cheap plastic thing. Because I'm like, no, I like having my nice stuff. I don't need a lot of nice stuff. But like, if I'm going to buy something, I'll spend the extra couple dollars to get something that's nice, solid, and that like isn't just a cheap piece of plastic, because it makes me feel better about myself having that stuff in my surroundings, using it. Yeah, let's go through this. Yeah, so this loop kind of applies and for everything, and you can be unconscious of it, you can be conscious of it. If you form a good pattern, you can eventually go unconscious to it in terms of like you're no longer necessarily thinking about it because you're habitually going to the gym. I do recommend just touching in with yourself every now and then, because patterns that may have served you in the past might not be serving you anymore. Let's say you're a very lazy person, so you started working really hard and you're like, oh, I'm gonna work. Well, 6 months, 8 months down the road, like a year down the road, that might be burning you out, and you might need to come back and reflect on that. Like, why am I doing this? Is there a better way of doing it? Because we have this thing where we're like, okay, a thought comes to mind, we do the action, shapes our environment. And we're like, okay, so I just press A and this happens. Press A. It's like on a game controller. So you just start like spamming A and you're like, oh, life's pretty good. Life's pretty good. And then life starts changing and you're like, oh, I'll just keep spamming A. And life starts getting worse and you're like, keep spamming A. I mean, I make this analogy a lot, but like nicotine addiction. You hit a vape and you're like, oh, I feel good. And then you hit it again and you're like, oh, I feel good. And then you start like getting a headache, or like anything happens, like you're dehydrated, you hit that vape because you just tell yourself, oh, if I don't feel good, I hit a vape. And then you get addicted to it and you're like, oh, I wasn't aware like that this thing was happening. So then we go down to this whole mess. It's not really a mess, it's really well thought out, but all you have control over is this is all you have control over, and you need to practice this in order and make it into systems. You are dumb and you will backslide if you don't. That is something that like actually helped me, is just realizing that, because like, oh no, I got this, I don't need to like systematize it, I don't need to set these things up, I don't need to like have a sheet of paper I read every morning, I don't need to like do my morning yoga practice for mindfulness. Like, I'm good right now, I don't need to. No, if you don't continue these successful systems that you set up, they will fall apart and you will backslide to like an unconscious state. Let's go through this. You have a thought. It's always a nice idea. Do I want to act on it? Would my best self do this? That's one thing you can practice. One thing I start practicing is just sitting down, if I'm on the bus or something, taking out my headphones and just observing the thoughts that come into my mind and being like, do I want to act on this? Is this like, what would my best self do? I'm just practicing asking myself that, so that I'll eventually ask myself, even when I'm tired or like throughout the day, just to make good decisions. Do I really want to have a third slice of blueberry cake before bed? Well, no, the sugar is going to affect my sleep. Well, you can get into this pattern of asking yourself this. Something that helps, identity. If you identify as someone who's healthy, then that can shape and kind of like shortcut this. Because if you're like, oh, I'm not a smoker, if someone offers you a cigarette, you're like, nope, you don't even have to think about it. Yeah, so practice the meditation, notice your thoughts, ask yourself if they're the best possible thing for you. Mindfulness and meditation helps to give you the space in order to have, like, this whole space that exists between your thought and your action. This is what mindfulness and meditation helps with. It creates that space. Without it, you just have a thought and then you act. You're like a deer or an NPC in a game. And this is kind of obvious because I hunt, and like I made this analogy in my last one, but like I'm in the woods, I can follow a deer, and like I'll see a deer scat on the ground, and I'm like, okay, this is a path a deer walked on, and I'll squat down, get on the level with them, and I'll look at it. And it kind of depends on like the branches, where the sunlight is, the elevation of the slope, and how close you are to houses. But like you can follow that, and even if you can't see anything on the ground, your brain's just like this way, turn this way, and it's kind of like you get into this. One person once said that we became logical in order to help us with hunting, because it allows us to put ourselves in the mindset of other animals and follow the logic that they operate under. That was talked about in Born to Run. He mentioned some other scientists that mentioned that. But if you don't want to be habitual, if you don't want to be like controlled by your thoughts, and you don't actually want to like live, like, this is why people think like, oh, we don't have self-control. It's like, no, you do have self-control. We are blessed with self-control. This is what separates us from a lot of other animals. We can decide before we act if we practice it. If you do not practice it, your thoughts will be, there will be no space here. You're just going to go straight from thought to action. And that's a shit life, because guess what? Your brain will default to short-term dopamine if you're not conscious and you haven't trained it. Because that's all it wants. It doesn't care about your goals in the future. It doesn't. It's like, I could go watch porn. That's like a lot of dopamine. Or I could go do coke. Or I could go watch TV. I could go scroll Instagram. It doesn't matter like if you need to get up at 6 a.m. for work tomorrow. Your brain doesn't think about that unless you're having this thought. Would my best self do that? If you don't ask yourself that, or you might not consciously be asking yourself that, but like if you ever challenge a thought, like you're questioning it somewhere in there, and that's part of being conscious. If you don't question it, you go unconscious to it. And that's why for me, I don't do weed. Because for weed, I have thoughts and it goes straight to actions. And I get shit sleep. And I eat too much food. So you can ask yourself, would my best self do this? And we'll just go down to the yes pass right now. So you say yes. Congratulations. You have a good thought. Do I want to act now? Now, this is something important because you might not be in a position to act. If you're like, oh, I want to work out, but you're on the bus. You're not going to start doing push-ups on the bus. It's kind of weird. It's kind of disgusting. The floor is gross. So you're like, well, and you need a way to capture this, a notebook, an app. I use my Reminders app. I love my Reminders app. I wrote some custom shortcuts for my Reminders app so that I don't have to use Siri, because Siri is really crappy at taking down reminders. But so if you want to act now, then congratulations, act. If you do not want to act now, then you need a way of capturing it. You can email yourself, but you need to check that system once a month, or else you didn't capture it. Like, it doesn't matter if you capture it if you never check the system you used to capture it. Next up, we have, you say no, it's a bad thought, you don't want to have it. Okay, well, we can dismiss the thought. You have to be careful because this can develop a shadow, which is what Carl Jung talks about. But you can dismiss it. You're like, oh, I'm happy to be free. I don't want to eat junk food. Or if you're a food craving, you're like, oh no, I'm losing weight. And I talked about this a couple months ago. I got up above 200 pounds, and for me, that's like, if I get above 200 pounds, I'm like, okay, need to focus. I should not be this big. I'm comfortable between like 185 and 195. That's where I normally go. If I get up to 200, I'm not conscious of what I'm eating. Eating too much. I'm probably consuming too much sugar. I'm not working out enough. So, like, something's happening. Something's going wrong with my system. And I need to do this, because if I don't catch myself, then the bigger you get, the harder it is to lose the weight. So you can dismiss the thought, and with dieting, you're like, okay, well, no, I'm happy with what I am. Or I'm happy, or I'm losing weight, which helps, because it reminds you of why you're doing it. The better one to do is to try to understand why you had it. You might not always have the time to do this, which is why you dismiss the thought. But if you have the time, try to understand why you had that thought. What triggered that thought? What unconscious self-beliefs do you have? What identities do you have about yourself that caused that thought to come into your head? This takes time. It takes journaling. It takes talking to people. You are not a special little snowflake. The problems you have had millions of people on Earth have the same problems you do. Millions of people on Earth have solved the same problems that you have. You can read books, you can talk to people, you can go to therapy, you can talk to GPT. GPT is somewhat good. It can give you some perspectives. It might mislead you. So I'd recommend reading books and then talking to GPT and then reflecting on it, or using GPT to then recommend books for you to read about it. But for me personally, I don't really give a shit if they're collecting my data on it. I would prefer that they not. But if like I can solve the issue, I'd rather do that than have the issue, but like have no one know about the issue, which is like I'm talking about my shit on YouTube, man. Like, what do you mean? My problems are already out there. I'm talking about overcoming them. Yeah. So the reason why I say you can develop a shadow is it's like you're repressing the thought. It's somewhat what you're doing. When you have the thought and you dismiss it, you're repressing it. You just need to make sure after you dismiss it, you don't come back to it and start fantasizing about it. If there's a piece of cake on the counter, you're like, no, I'm happy, I don't want to eat that. You can't be sitting at your desk fantasizing about eating that piece of cake or wanting that piece of cake, because you have to dismiss that thought too. You have to dismiss the thoughts on the topic. And when you practice this, it might take a week or two, but you can do it. I did this with nicotine addiction. I had the thought, oh, I want to hit a vape, and I dismiss it. No, I'm happy to be free. And eventually, I would notice my body, I would notice these thoughts coming ahead. I'm happy to be free, happy to be free. And then one time I just had a thought, because you cut it off. It's like, oh, I want to, nope, happy to be free. And you're just like, I'm happy to be free. I'm like, I'm free. Like, I literally just had the thought, I'm happy to be free. I'm like, wow, it worked out really well. Don't feed thoughts by ruminating on it or fantasizing about it. Identities such as being smart or healthy can help. It really does. One of the most beneficial things my parents did for me was gave me an identity that I'm smart. And what that meant is when I was doing work in college, when I was going for my mechanical engineering degree, I'm sitting down there and I'm looking at this lots of workload. I'm trying to absorb it all in a very short period of time. Like, I'm smart, I can do this. I'm smart, I can do this. And that kind of like, it gave me the belief in myself to continue pushing forward. And I also TA'd a lot in college. And some of these kids would come to me like, I can't figure this out. I'm like, what have you tried? Like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I haven't really like thought about. I'm like, what? I would tell them, what don't you understand? Because that's a big thing here. I'm like, what don't you understand? Like, don't just come to me and be like, I can't figure this out, blah, 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 blah. Like, what don't you understand? Tell me that. And once you tell me what you don't understand, well, guess what? Just go to Google. Like, if I didn't have time, I would tell them that. But my job as a TA isn't necessarily to teach them. My job as a TA is to teach them the skills to do it. So I want them to realize that if they can name what they do not understand, then that's a YouTube thing that you can search. Like, that's how I taught myself computer vision and AI and how to code. So I would look at stuff, I'm like, this is what I want to do. I don't understand what I need to do to get here. I'd watch someone else who did something similar, and like, I don't understand what he did. And then I'd Google what the thing, like how to download PyCharm, how to use OpenCV. Like, I just Google that stuff and watch videos on it, and a list, like having a list, a piece of paper next to your computer so you can write down all of these thoughts is super helpful. And you just go through one by one by one, you cross them off, and soon enough, guess what? You understand it. You're fucking brilliant. Next up, ice baths. Ice baths can help a lot. In college, after wrestling season ended, I got caught up in a work mode, only work, nothing but work, going straight from sleep to work to work to sleep to sleep to sleep. No, yeah, it sucked. I was just working 24/7, wake up, trying to maintain I graduated with a 3.98 GPA, and for mechanical engineering from one of the top universities. So I was not socializing because wrestling was like, oh, I need to make practice, and then at practice I could socialize with my guy friends. But besides that, I was living off the campus, so I just had these negative thoughts going through my head. I was like, I don't want to be here. This sucks. I was getting depressed. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like who I'm becoming. So I decided to do something about it. I saw this video, and she was like, take ice baths. Ice baths help me be happy. They help me with my depression. I'm like, well, fuck it, man. Like, I'll do anything. I don't really want to take antidepressants, so let's try it. What ice baths do is they freeze your fucking nuts off. They do. It's amazing. But what that does is it wipes all this out. Like, you're not really having any thoughts. Your mind becomes a complete blank slate, and you're just like, you get out of the water, and you're just freezing, and then you get in the car and you're warming up, and you're looking around, and like everything, it's like removing a filter from your mind. Like, colors look brighter. You can go back to my channel and watch I had like the first month or 2 months uploaded, but you can see like how my mood changed, how I went from being depressed to not being depressed. And I wasn't clinically depressed at all. I was just like, I was getting there, and I was like, I need to do something about this. And ice baths really helped because my mind was blank. And then as thoughts started coming back in, it gave me the space to observe those thoughts as they started coming back in. And I was like, oh, I'm just like completely ruminating on all the negatives of this. So then I took another ice bath. And then as thoughts came in, one of the thoughts was, I should write down all the positives about being in college. I'm like, I'm never going to be this close to my friends again. I can go use their makerspace. I can, like, I'm not working right now. I can just like go chill sometimes. I can, like, I'm taking an ice bath in a beautiful spot in the woods I found. So, and I would look at that list, and I changed my environment, and I put that list on my computer desk, and I would read that list. And then that helped me. Once you read something, the more you do an action, the easier it is to do. The more you have a thought, the more you're going to have that thought in the future. That goes for both negative and positive. The more you have positive thoughts, the more likely you are to have that same positive thought. So that helped me with being happy. But it gave me space, which is the key thing to understand, is it disrupted this thought pattern. It disrupted my whole brain. I wasn't having any thoughts. I'm just there, and your mind's blank. And your body's just like, and like, when you get out of that, your thoughts start coming back to you, and it allows you to see them. One thing that you can also do is practice mentally rehearsing good patterns. So when I was younger, I sucked at talking to women. You can like play out introducing yourself to women. You can play out conversations in your head. This helps. Public speaking. One thing I do a lot is sports. I find it really helpful for like when I go to bed at night. I'll sit down and I'll lie down on my bed and I'll just like mentally play through jiu-jitsu matches in my head. And then all of a sudden, nice dreamyville. I'm having nice dreams. But it helps focus my mind in order to fall asleep quicker. But I'll just play out jiu-jitsu matches. And when I do it, I'll like be thinking about it. It takes practice. Like this is the thing. It takes practice to do this. Like in order to do this well, like I can shadow wrestle where I pretend that my opponent is in front of me because I have like I think 10,000 hours of wrestling and jiu-jitsu practice. About close to there. I've been doing it for about 12 years. But like I can go through, I can like see them in their stance. I can like maybe not 10,000, maybe. I have to do it. I do a lot of wrestling. I do a lot of shadow wrestling. I do a lot of thinking about wrestling, which also helps get those hours up because I'm mentally rehearsing like the setups. Like the moment they put their wrist here, my arm drag, I'm going to shoot the double. And I'm kind of going through, I'm feeling it in my head. And it takes practice to do this, but you can do this with more basic things. You can practice imagining yourself up at a stage giving a speech. You can imagine, like, I'm sure you've done this before. Like you imagined having conversations, like you're pissed off at someone and you imagined what you're going to say to them and maybe what they're going to say back to you. Or maybe you got in trouble in school. And I got in trouble a lot in elementary school before wrestling. And I would practice out the lies I would tell my elementary school teacher. And if he said, oh, what about this? Then I'd be like, well, I'm going to tell him this. And it was like stupid shit. Like my art teacher was, I'm not trying to swear too much, but she was a real piece of work and hated creative expression. And I liked being creative. And one day, like we had to make a mural, and she gave us a picture, and we're like, "Oh, you need to make a cut paper image of this house." And it's like we cut each color in the image is cut from a different sheet of paper. So I was making the image, and I added a tree house in the back here. I'm like, "Oh, look how nice it is." Yeah, she didn't think it was nice. She sent me to the principal's. Let's see, let's go up here. There was a thought I had, which I didn't say because I was talking about that last one, but let's go ahead, actions, environment, triggers. I don't know, it'll come to me eventually, but yeah, unique way of capturing it. Hopefully this was useful, and let's undo all of the highlights, and I'll go through and I'll just put this image up on screen again. So zoomed out, that's one, that's two. Please comment down below if you have any thoughts on this, if you have anything you want to add to this. I'm trying to make this system, make videos talking about it, implement the system for myself, and also like share it with other people to help improve everyone. Peace out.